kuna hii article nilicheki on Business Daily ya 2nd October. It's an article on 2nd October about MCSK. Let's acha to search hapa. Niko na the newspaper itself actually. Business Daily ya 2nd October. Ni Jumini Janje. Okay. Mi si mtu akishebedu. Anyway, you can also search this article on the Business Daily website. But ni watiaji sana. Wanataka nilipe 1200 a month nione vitu ziko hapa. Sina shida na kulipa if I have a business that is making money and I'm actually trying to learn. Actually ni juu niko na best place ya na work. You get easy gazette, so I've been getting Business Daily from him. Anyway, kuna hii historia fresh court battle between MCSK and Kenya Corporate Board Kikobo. Okay, nitawaambia ni nini na happen. Nimewaambia history ni ya 2nd October. Again, you can't get the full copy hapa, and nilijaribu ku create account kwa hii website nika create, sawa, nimekubali. Ndio wanionyesha hizi vitu lazima nilipia vitu mingi, na mnanijua mimi ni mtu ngati sana. No cap no kizi no ngepa. 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 Nako ground ni makwela tunahepa. So what's happening? Nitachukua pia picha ya hii stuff ni attach so that you can follow with it. So basically kumekuwa na a battle between Kikobo ni Kenya Copyright Board na Music Copyright Society of Kenya, MCSK. Na mnajua MCSK venye wamekuwa kibia wasedo or haijakuwa accountable for the longest time. This is not anything new. Mnakumbuka kina Calligraph wakiteta na kina hata KRG the Don MCSK. Nakumbuka alikuwa ametumiwa message, alikuwa ametumiwa kama I remember there was this article 16th. Wow, this is 16 September 2025 na in let nakumbuka sawa. KRG had revealed that he na hii ni website ya K24 alikuwa receive how much aliakanga screenshot. He had received 3214 from Performing and Audiovisual Rights Society of Kenya. Alitumianga 3214. Okay, of course it's an unfair pay. Indio stuff imekuanga hata Calligraph ametetanga, kila mtu ametetanga. This is nothing new. Anyway, let's read this article hapa alafu turudi kwa hii gazeti. Sitaki kuweka hapa na 10 minutes max. Okay, so Kenyan artists have voiced similar frustrations for years. Okay, Calligraph na King Kaka revealed that they had each received 2,500 from MCSK. Calligraph later vowed never to let the organization collect royalties on his behalf again. That is 2019. That was 2019. 2022, Wangeshi na Nikita said they had received 1,200. Now imagine Wangeshi na Nikita hawana the same impact. Nikita should be getting different kind of from their music. April, Sauti Sol Bien Aime revealed he had received 14K in royalties, questioning how such a figure was possible for one of Kenya's top streamed artists. Tutangoja ya Toxic hopefully at the end of the year ama next year. Musician Shizo disclosed he hadn't received any royalties for its popular track. Anyway, as a February 2024 report by Kenya Copyright Board, hiyo ndio Kikobo, wali confirm glaring disparities in royalties distribution. Reports showed that well-known artists such as Rehema Lugose and Ruben Kigame, najua Kigame sijui ingine, they had been shortchanged and received less than what they had been owed. Okay, so now let me bounce back to this article. At least niko happy tumepata hiyo. So Kikobo, so shida na MCSK currently ni that apparently wame create 2 accounts. Even ndivyo wanaanzanga kuibiwa. Wanaanzanga ku create 2 accounts. It's like CBKs. Akupasi kukuwa na CBK mbili. Kuna CBK haipasi kuwa na accounts multiple, or let me just go with CBK shouldn't have 2 accounts. There should be only one of CBK, the one that regulates and looks at everything in terms of money, same as NSC, Nairobi Securities Exchange. Hiyo ndio board inaangalia stories za za mado. Nimekuwa nikisoma mambo ya business daily manze. So niko rada hizi vitu. So this is what is happening. MCSK cannot account for 56 million. This was in historia 2024 and Kekobo ndio sasa company na try ku get in between and try to resolve that. So what's happening? A fresh court battle has erupted between Kikobo, Kenya Copyright Board and MCSK over alleged mismanagement of funds collected from music and art consumers in the form of royalties. Central to this ongoing dispute initiated by musician Justus Ngemu. Nashukuru tumeona Justus Ngemu kwa hii stuff. Nimeona Rehema Lugose na Ruben Kigame. Oh, iza. Justus Kigemo and Sol Esikuri is the alleged loss of 56 million Kenyan shillings at MCSK. This amount had allegedly been received as royalties for artists and musicians. So guys, tuko that word, and this is just a result of our systems. Honestly, najua nimekava kuhusu Magix Enga over the course of the week. Mtu kama Magix Enga, he should not in a well-performing system, okay, in a first world country, even if he's not producing anymore, he should still be getting money from his work. In an ideal world, in an ideal system, hapasi kuwa akiumia. Si lazima msanii akue akienda show kila time. Si lazima akue ana release mangoma. In an ideal world, the systems should be working for you. It's just before 9 a.m. Niko na story nyingine pia kucover. So the dispute in a concern allegations that MCSK has split into two varying camps, each setting up its own bank accounts and pay bill accounts for collecting revenue from music users in Kenya and worldwide. So the biggest, I think, example I can bring this close to ni msiako na apartments, when ni tenant ama when ni landlord. Usually kwa time kuna drama za inheritance ama family, unapatanga pay bills inabadilishwa. I think that's the closest that I can get. So in such a situation, unapata maybe half of these tenants wanatumanga do kwa hii pay bill. Another half of tenants wanatuma do kwa another pay bill, which makes you question, basi kuna kitu weird ina happen ndani. There should be some internal problems. So Mr. Ngemu na Esikuri wali argue that the alleged loss was revealed by Kikobo on February 2nd, 2024. And I think hapa tumeona hii ni report ilifanywa na Kikobo 2024. So they alleged that MCSK could not sufficiently account for the amount. Bro, hiza kuna msasha jenga apartments zake na hizo do zenu. According to them, Kikobo forwarded a letter to the Office of Ethics and Anti-Corruption for investigations. No action has been taken against officials. You know what? That's what we get. That's the system we've been living in. Hata hakuna kitu mpya hapo. That has been what we've been living. That has been our government. That has been our systems. That is nothing new. It's also agreed that Kikobo deemed it not necessary or fit to report the said loss of funds to the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions. Wasanii, aka artists, have applied for orders compelling Kikobo, Cabinet Secretary of Gender, Culture and Arts and Heritage, and the Attorney General to enforce various provisions on collective administration of copyright. Okay, the artists wanted the court to issue a temporary order ya kustop MCSK from collecting royalties from users of copyrighted works, because the more wanaendelea kucollect, the more hawata account, the more kuna msetu watu wake tu wanaenda private schools juu hiyo do. Pending the hearing, artists wanted the court to issue a temporary order to stop MCSK from collecting royalties. They also wanted Kikobo to set up an alternative independent payment mechanism for collection of royalties. However, Justice Roslyn Aburi declined, saying the orders were like a mandatory order which, if granted at this stage of trial, would amount to issuing final reliefs before hearing the substantive dispute, which means hawezi acha hizo vitu happen before kuclear hii case ndio maybe kuset up ndio waache Kikobo ianze kucollect royalties. So because the case is still ongoing, it puts the judge in between a hard between a rock and a hard place ya kudetermine kama wase wanaweza endelea hivi. Lazima tusort story kwanza ndio tuendelee. But bottom line is that 56 million was not accounted for. 56 million ina disappear na haikui accounted for, to whom, to where it went, to which pay bill, who is now over who's in charge, who's accountable. This is similar to IRS. It's not similar, but in a system where systems are working in first world country, watu kama IRS wanaweza kuja wafuatilia, wa trace everything. But si mnajua huku tu venye tunaishi. Acha nimalizie tu hii article. The musicians told the court that MCSK was embroiled in leadership wrangles. Sinizo vitu internal nimekuambia, unapata kuna shida tu zina happen ndani internally. That's what's being reflected now outside. Kama hiyo example nimesema ya landlord, tenant, when tenant, mnapata half of these people wanatuma kwa hii pay bill, half of these other ones wanatuma kwa hii pay bill, which means inamaanisha tu kuna makasoro ndani. They allege there was no accountability mechanism from Kikobo. Respondents have the respondents have the statutory mandate. The respondents have the inanikimbiza fuck. The respondents have the statutory mandate. The respondents have the statutory mandate to reign over the affairs of the interested party, in this case MCSK, but they have deliberately ignored and or neglected to undertake their statutory duties to enforce provisions. So the justice, what did he do? Justice Aburili declined objections raised by MCSK against the suit. Judge akasema nini? The issues raised by the applicants, such as those touching on loss of funds and Kekobo alleged failure to act, are not frivolous. The allegations raise weighty questions as to whether the first respondent has discharged his statutory obligations, relegations to blah 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 blah. The case marks the third major dispute over MCSK royalty management in the past 5 years. So tumeona huku zimeanza kutoka 2019 hadi sasa 2025, in the last 5 years, as there were 2 other cases at the High Court Commercial Division against the organization. Kumekuwa na kesi zingine 2 against MCSK already zenye zimekuwa at the High Court. This is the highest level of court yenye vitu zinaweza kuwa claimed. Artists claim they have suffered loss of economic rights and damage due to actions on the part of the Kikobo Ministry and Attorney General and MCSK. The outcome of the case could affect over 10,000 registered musicians who rely on MCSK for royalty distribution. And that's why tuna trust mzungu. Mzungu kama una publish on YouTube, mzungu anakuonyesha record yako, mbona tunakulipa hivi venye nakulipa. Spotify, these other platforms, that's why unapata artists can better off rely on those mechanisms. They are more predictable. But again, si ati zinakulipa hiyo design compared to the investment that you put. That's why most artists, they don't even depend on YouTube. They just depend on shows. They're not even trying to sell merchandise. Wanadependia tu kuitwa show, kwenda shows places flani and all that. So I think that's it. Kuna video niliwatch ya Charisma. Charisma alisema alispending 850,000 on video yake ya Sina Noma My Guy. Anyway, mtaniambia kama mngetaka ni cover much more on that, but sema msanii kama huyo ame invest Sina Noma Charisma. By the way, I think pay itakwambia what an 800k video looks like in terms of logistics and everything else. Charisma alisema kwa interview fulani, actually nitaonyesha ni interview gani. Ndio hii interview alifanya na Udem on peer pressure. Okay, wako kwa gari. He talks about that was like one of the most money he spent on a video, and akasema from the streaming and everything before shows, they were able to recoup that money. He said he made about nearly 2M in nearly a year plus. Okay, but you can see hiyo ni video ilifikisha 16 million views. Okay, and this was hata ni ngoma ni realize hata kama sijui naijua, nilijua ilinifikia. Hiyo ngoma hata sihitaji kujua nini, but ilinifikia. Sina noma, my guy, and it was really big. So for him to say that he invested 800k kwa such a video, now just from streaming alone from kina Spotify, Apple Music, those other platforms, and plus YouTube, they were able to make over 2 million bob. Later on, it tells you have to be making some fuck you numbers to get such money back, of which he happening just anywhere. But again, nitaongea on another video if you guys mta insist. But alisema this was an 800k music video, na unaangalianga na staff, directed by, post production, gaffer, see dancers, kona locations, logistics. This is what an 800k music video will look like. Anyway, nitaangalia more on that.